Colorado's Republican Party is suing the Secretary of State in an effort to keep unaffiliated voters from voting in the primaries. Good evening, I'm Michael Spencer.
And I'm Karen Lee. Thanks for being with us. If Republicans succeed and state law is overturned, 1.7 million Coloradans would not have a say in primary elections. As of July 1st, nearly half of Colorado's active registered voters were registered as unaffiliated. 27% of Coloradans are registered as Democrats, while Republicans make up 24%. Our political specialist, Sean Boyd, joins us tonight.
Sean, this lawsuit impacts both Republican and Democratic primaries.
Exactly. It would repeal Proposition 108, which Coloradans overwhelmingly supported in 2016. That measure gave unaffiliated voters the right to vote in either the Democratic or Republican primary. But the Republican Party says that violates its First Amendment right to associate. While the ballot measure allows them to opt out of the state primary altogether and hold their own, the rules make it very difficult. So in addition to the lawsuit, some are trying to change the rules.
That's why I just can't sit back.
Former Republican Party Chair Dick Wadhams has been sounding an alarm for weeks, writing column after column about what he calls an act of political suicide by the Colorado Republican Party after it sued the state to block unaffiliated voters from having a say in primary elections.
Why would a political party want to say to 47% of the electorate, we don't want you?
It makes no sense to have the Raiders coaches picking the Denver Broncos quarterback. In the same fashion, we want Republicans picking the Republican nominees.
Current Republican Party Chair Dave Williams isn't stopping at a lawsuit. He's also trying to amend party bylaws to make it easier for the GOP to opt out of the open primary. State law requires 75% of the party's central committee to vote in favor of it. Williams says those who don't vote now count against the 75%, so they are essentially no votes. Under the amendment, those who don't vote would be counted as yes votes.
The vote is already assumed in the negative. The question Republicans have to ask themselves is, do we want to allow the government to impose the no vote on us, or do we want to flip the script and allow Republicans to consider it a yes?
It is ironic that people who are proponents of taking away the vote of the members are the same people who have been ranting and raving for 3 years now that Donald Trump lost the election because the vote was stolen from him.
Williams blames the open primary process for GOP losses the last few elections, saying it's allowed Democrats to interfere in Republicans' nominating process. Wadhams says Donald Trump is the reason Republicans have lost. And if the party dies, he says, conservatives aren't the only ones who lose. The state of Colorado does.
Watching the Republican Party literally go into oblivion is going to empower the far left of the Democratic Party. And they're going to start winning more elections, and they're going to start influencing more of the public policy in Colorado.
The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. We've tried the open primary for 3 cycles now, and Republicans have lost more ground with each successive election.
The Republican Central Committee, which includes more than 400 members, will vote on whether to change their bylaws to count an absentee voter as a yes vote this weekend. And then in September, they will vote on a proposal to opt out of the state primary and hold their own. Wadhams says only about 40 to 50% of members even show up for the meetings. So the only way change happens is if those rules are changed. And they've tried 3 times to do this in the past over the last 5 years and have failed each time to opt out because of that 75% threshold. So again, they got to change the rules this weekend for it to pass in September. Yeah.
So they mentioned holding their own primary. What would that look like, and how would they do that?
Yeah, it's a good question. I asked Williams that. He said they would set up polling places, or other volunteers or paid members of the committee would set up polling places around the state, and Republicans would come and vote.
All right.